Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Your Spiritual Journey. This is Dr. Bob, and this is the space and the place where we discuss things important to your soul. So, before I get started, I just want to mention that if you like what you hear on our program, please like us, subscribe to us on YouTube, and maybe even support us on Patreon. We'd love to be around for a long, long time. So today's guest is John Dye, and I have to give this caveat right up front. If you Googled the name John Dye, you'll find that he was an actor uh, and that he is now deceased. This is not that John Dye. uh, This is a different spiritual John Dye. That John Dye was on Touched by an Angel with Della Reese for many years. So this John Dye currently serves as executive director of Skylight.org, an initiative of the Radiant Foundation. Skylight's mission is to help young adults live happier and more fulfilling lives through a personal relationship with God. Now, John's been a long-time participant on social media and has helped numerous companies effectively incorporate social media and influencer outreach tactics into their overall marketing strategies. He also serves on the board of Eye Care for Kids, a nonprofit that helps children receive much-needed eyeglasses and vision correction to help them succeed in school and in life. He and his wife Jenny are also advocates for the arts and humanities, and both serve on the Utah Metropolitan Ballet Board. So you get the idea. He's coming to us from Utah. In his spare time, he enjoys running, keeping up with the latest trends in technology, and spending time with Jenny and their family. So that's John, and you're about to hear his spiritual journey from childhood until the present day. Take it away, John.
All right, Dr. Bob. First of all, thank you. Number one, I love what you're doing here, helping people share their spiritual journeys. One other caveat too about John Dye on Touched by an Angel. You may or may not know that was filmed here in Salt Lake City for the most part, and
Oh, I didn't know that.
I I was often confused with that John Dye when he was here filming, meaning people would look up his address because many did know it was filmed here along the Wasatch Front in Utah. And I can't tell you how many invitations I received to special VIP banquets, especially during the 2002 Olympics, which were here in Salt Lake City. So I
Wow.
wish I would have taken the mayor and the governor up on their offers, but I knew I wasn't the John Dye they wanted, and so I didn't do that. But yes, love the show, love the efforts that was put into those great episodes that they created. So
Well, personally,
yes,
I am
so
glad that you are not the angel of death.
yes, I'm not here to visit you today, Dr. Bob, that way. So yes, well, thank you for the invitation. I'm excited to share my spiritual journey, and I'll begin at the beginning. I was born in Montana. Uh, my father and mother were both spiritual individuals. My dad had grown up multiple generations in Montana, literally turn of the century. His heritage is really in the Bitterroot Valley of Montana. So if you've seen the movie A River Runs Through It with Robert Redford, that was filmed. That area that it took place was right in that same region where my father and his ancestors grew up and where I grew up. My mom, on the other hand, grew up in a place called Butte, Montana. A lot of Irish heritage, a lot of miners that came over from Ireland, and so she was born a Catholic, and my dad a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, commonly known as the Mormons. My mom and dad met in Dillon, Montana, at a place called Western Montana College and got married. My mom had some wonderful experiences with the Spirit and was converted to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So growing up in Montana, um, we were very active in the church of our faith. Uh, I remember doing multiple things. Obviously, the Sunday services that we would go to, and multiple midweek other types of things that we would do, and just really enjoyed the sociality, the community, the spirit, and many things that I felt as I grew up. So had a pretty typical childhood that way. I enjoyed going to church. I felt I belonged, and I think that's an important key part of someone's spiritual journey is, the vertical aspects, right, to heaven, feeling the higher power, God, whatever in your life, but also I would say the horizontal aspects, right, the belonging, and feeling like you belong in this community. Um, Now, one thing that is interesting about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Dr. Bob, and I'd love to spend a little bit of time here, is many of the young men and young men specifically, when I turned 19, I served a service mission. And you'll be called either, and it's by choice that you go, but traditionally we believe by revelation you are called to certain parts of the world. I equate this a little bit to Peace Corps. In many of the things that you do, it's not exactly the same, but I think it's as transformational an experience, and many people are aware of the Peace Corps. And so I liken it to that often. So I had an opportunity to go to the country of Taiwan. Went over there in 1989, had a chance to learn Mandarin Chinese and serve the people over there, and share with them the good news of the gospel, and the things that I believe in and that are near and dear to my heart. So had a chance to be there for 2 years. Again, learn the language, serve people, meet with them in their homes, do multiple things that was very, very, very instructional for me. Came to love the people, love them and their efforts, and also I would say had an opportunity to go to a traditionally non-Christian country and share with them again the good news of the gospel and of Jesus Christ, and loved those efforts that we had a chance to do.
Well, any of us
Any
who have
questions?
seen we've seen the Book of Mormon, we know exactly what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah. Sharing that. Now, when you say the Book of Mormon, do you mean the Broadway show,
Right.
or do you mean the book? Oh, yes. So if you're familiar with the Broadway show, that is, from what I've heard, I have yet to see it myself, but
Oh,
that is
okay.
a spoof. Yeah, but those individuals go to Africa, correct? And they serve a
Right,
mission.
right.
And I hear if you want a lot of laughs, that is something to attend potentially. But yeah, I have yet to see it. But yes, it definitely has been on Broadway. It might be the longest running show before it ends. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But yes, we had an opportunity to share our book of scripture in addition to the Bible. Another testament of Jesus Christ, we believe, is the Book of Mormon, and so we had a chance to share that. So if you're familiar with the Book of Mormon, the musical, yes, it is based on one of our books of scripture. So had a chance to go there for 2 years in Taiwan. Again, loved my time there. The people were great. They were wonderful, and had a chance to come home and get into higher education. So I started off at a place called Rexburg, Idaho. At the time, it was called Ricks College. I would call it another variant of Brigham Young University. That was a 2-year college at the time, and then I moved on to Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah, and had a chance to get an undergraduate and graduate degree in English. Had a chance to do that. Actually, my aspirations at the time were to go back and teach in Taiwan, teach English, and continue service over there. And as life wines and unfolds. That was not in the cards, and that's okay. That's okay. Had a chance to um, live, actually settle here in Utah, and did a lot here, and have been here ever since. So again, education at Brigham Young University. After I got my master's in English, and this is again all part of the spiritual and faith journey, and I'll talk more about this a little bit later. But I had a chance to enter the workforce in an advertising agency. So basically, a copywriter with my English background. Worked my way up to become president of this ad agency, and we took on a client at that point, which was the missionary department for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter day Saints. So, in addition to all of the, you know, elders that you see out there, all of the Mormon missionaries, male or female, that you see out there, there are also some large efforts online. As you know, the internet was starting to burgeon. Um, People take ads, they put content out there. um, the church is no different. They want to dispel myth and misperception about how they are seen, and so there was a lot of things happening online for those that are interested in learning about the gospel of Jesus Christ. Many faith roads and journeys out there, and they wanted to make sure that they could tell their story. And so I was able to work with them on public service announcements that were tied to television and tied to radio. So back in the day, you might remember that it was mandated by the federal government that anybody that had television or radio had to give a certain amount of that bandwidth or that space to nonprofits, and so, or charities. And so the church came out with what we called the Homefront series. One thing that members of my church are well known for is devotion to family, and being able to share the love that they feel for their family, and the need they feel to feel close to family. So they came out with some commercial spots, and these commercial spots were well known at the time. This was probably the late 70s and during the 80s that this took place. Seems like ancient history at this point, but wasn't all that long ago. It even went into the 90s, actually, now that I think about it. So a lot of these commercial spots were created, had a chance to share those again on television and radio. And the church then, as the internet was taking more of a forefront place in the minds and the attention of people, they said, hey, we need a digital director, somebody that can come in and really help us understand what content is being utilized and viewed and absorbed by individuals. And so they made some overtures to me, and I had a lot of interest myself because I loved the cause-based work. I felt it was making a difference in people's lives, bringing them to Christ, and making a difference in their life journey. So I had a chance to move over to a place called Bonneville Communications, and we were able to work on multiple different things in regards to the church. Now, this was 2012 when this occurred. You might remember two things happened. Dr. Bob, you mentioned Book of Mormon musical. That was the year that the Book of Mormon musical came out. And it was a cultural phenomenon, right? It was something that was just incredible. And it was a way for us to really leverage this attention to be able to help people understand what our beliefs are and who we are as people, and the doctrine we have, etc. So number one was the Book of Mormon musical. The second piece of the cultural zeitgeist at the moment was Mitt Romney was running for president. Mitt Romney, of course, is a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, former governor on the East Coast, and he was then running for president against Barack Obama. And so those two efforts and those two cultural phenomena really, I'd say, catapulted the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints onto the scene, where people were saying, okay, if Mitt Romney becomes president, what does he believe? Just like JFK was a Catholic, and many people, I think, really, if they weren't Catholic, they really wanted to understand back in the day. Many people were saying, if Mitt becomes president, what does that mean for our nation? And also the Book of Mormon musical, of course. So we called that the Mormon moment. That was what we called that. But 2012 was a chance really for people of my faith to step forward. And so, understanding the importance of the moment, I had an opportunity to join a team, an ad agency called Bonneville Communications, which is closely associated with the church. And we were able to do some things to really highlight and take that moment that we were on this pedestal in people's, uh, uh, their areas of attention, to say, hey, this is what we believe and this is why we believe it. So we had a chance to do that. We came out with a video series called I'm a Mormon, and it would show the very the myriad of ways that people can express their faith. Sometimes I think, and I think this is true for a lot of people, and a lot of people of belief, specifically when you talk of certain faith traditions, sometimes we narrow that down and we create stereotypes, or we create, hey, every Catholic is this, or every Jewish person is that. Well, we noticed with our faith that a lot of people would say, this is really how Mormons are. They are this or that. And we wanted to highlight individual stories, much like you're doing on this podcast, and show the myriad of ways that people believe that are Mormons. Meaning, sure, we all adhere to certain doctrine and certain principles, but we also have Harley Davidson riding individuals who are faithful. We also have people that come from Africa that are Black and are faithful LDS. We also have individuals that are female and are empowered and are members of our church and make a big difference in life. So we wanted to broaden the tent, I guess is a good way to put it, to say we're just not here in this thin vertical area. People that believe are very broad. And I loved doing that. I loved doing that because that was an opportunity for us to really dispel some myth and misperception, to show people that, hey, this is who we are. Now, how that helped me on my personal faith journey too is, listening to other people's testimonies, their declarations of faith, I think really helps add to an individual's personal testimony or declaration of faith as well. Meaning, I'm somebody who believes in, and again, I'll call it big tent Mormonism. I believe God loves us all. We are all his children. And when we recognize the divine, when we see the divine in others and help them on their journey, they help us. It's a natural phenomenon that happens when you assist somebody else, you are changed as well. And so being able to share stories and those tales of faith and people's journeys, I think it was just incredibly helpful as we went along on this. Now, with that, we had a chance in 2014 to come out with a feature film that we put out called Meet the Mormons. Again, one of the things I think which is interesting, Dr. Bob, is the myth and misperception that surround different faith traditions. And this was a chance for us to share 6 biopic stories of individuals who believe in our faith. And we went from a female boxer in South America, to a Black bishop in Georgia, to a gentleman in Nepal that worked for one of the largest humanitarian efforts in the world. We showed this myriad number of stories of individuals who, again, are members of the faith, and showed the beauty that comes when we weave together these stories and these tapestries of individuals with different backgrounds, different cultural beliefs or belongings. But again, the faith is what brings them together and creates something strong and something binding. So loved doing that because that was kind of entering the entertainment sphere and being able to help people um, understand who we are and what we believe. Um, so had a chance to do that, and that kind of leads me to where I am today from an occupational perspective, which is Skylight. And as I mentioned that, I'll just share a few things there. Um, Really, in the past, I've kind of been more concentrated on helping dispel myth and misperception and really sharing all the goodness that can come from a faith belief, specifically the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. However, with what I'm doing now, this is I would say a sister effort, but it's much more broad to what I was doing before. With Skylight, we know that the youth of the world, we call them Gen Zennials, this group that we're talking about, ages 18 to 35, Gen Z and the younger millennials, we know that they are facing some unprecedented situations, right? And I'll even call them maladies, social maladies that I think previous generations had to deal with, but maybe not to the extent that this generation of current Gen Zennials have to deal with. We're talking about anxiety, stress, sleep issues, loneliness, um, self-esteem issues. These are things that have plagued all of us at that age, but I think they're exacerbated. Now that could have been from the pandemic because socially that did some very interesting things to all of us, but specifically in this age range, when people are especially social, it really kept them, um, insular and doing things that I would say previous generations didn't have to do. So as they face these issues, the question in our mind was this: how can we help them connect with a higher power? And we're not being prescriptive in that higher power, meaning what we're trying to do will work just as well for somebody with a Jewish heritage as it will for somebody with a Muslim, Hindu, Christian heritage. But our thought was, how do we help this rising generation connect with a higher power? Because we truly believe when we're talking about the equation of life on your life's journey, one of those variables in that life equation that will equate to happiness is having that higher power in your life. We believe a rising tide lifts all boats, and regardless of what faith tradition you come from or what higher power you may believe in, having that higher power in your life makes a difference. That makes a difference and brings you happiness and perspective that is needed and necessary to become your true to grow to your true potential. And so what we've done is we put together something which is quite interesting. If you go to skylight.org, you'll see it. But we believe one of the issues that many people are facing are caused by this device, right? Which is your mobile device. Um, a lot of people doom scroll, right? They're on social media a lot, or you look at other people's social media feeds and you have the fear of missing out, or you equate your average to their exceptional, which they put out on social media, but
Yeah.
your average day often doesn't equate to the things that they're sharing. And because of that, you feel less than. And I think we all, those of us that experience this, that are on social media, we all feel this at times, but especially during this growth phase, right? The rising generation during those years, that is something that is really hard. And so we put together something that ironically uses the same device that cause many of the mental health maladies that many of these young people are facing. But we put together an iOS app, an Android app, and a web app. So if you go to skylight.org, you can see this. But we've put together a series, we call them practices or exercises, 3 to 5 minutes, the majority of them are, but they all deal with prayer. They deal with meditation, affirmations, recitations, spiritual movement, and spiritual music. So again, we believe that resilience will be found when you take the time to connect with a higher power, your higher power, um, ideally daily. For me, I realize a lot of that through the practice of prayer. I also, though, love to augment that with meditation, pondering, thinking, being able to put things together. I often journal as well, write my thoughts down, and that gives me some clarity and centered feelings of being centered. Um, but we believe that all of these things, Dr. Bob, really make a difference in somebody. Again, if they can do it, it's just like physical exercise in many ways, right? It's If you want to run a marathon, you shouldn't start by tomorrow running a half marathon and then a week later running a full marathon. If you want that resilience and if you want to perform your best and be at your best ability, it's that training that you're doing months leading up to that marathon. And we feel that from a spiritual perspective, from a spiritual wellness perspective, you need to stay continually tied and connected with that higher power so that you can feel that love, that peace, that joy, that calm, that comfort, that centeredness that comes from having that higher power variable in that equation of your life. So just some thoughts there. I know I've been talking a lot. Any questions though that you'd like to delve into?
Well, you talking a lot is the whole idea. But uh, well, I guess just to piggyback on what you just talked about, it it's always I guess been part of what I feel is important is that we have daily spiritual practices, whatever they are, whatever resonates with us, whatever connects us to a higher power, as you say. Uh, so putting this out there in an app is one thing. Getting people to connect with it and use it is something else. So
Yes.
how, uh, I guess, how have you encouraged that to happen? Uh, and what has been the result so far?
Yeah, great question, because creating something is much different than having people know about it and actually utilize it, right? That's a big difference. We've gone about this multiple ways, and we've had some successes and failures, and we love to share all of those because you learn as much, if not a lot more, through your failures than successes.
Mhm.
One of the most successful ways that we found out about this is many people, when they're having, these situations of high anxiety, stress, sleep issues, etc., they turn to their devices. They turn to Google. They turn to AI, Chat GPT, or other forms of artificial intelligence to find out, hey, what can I do to alleviate these situations? They're looking for an immediate, an immediate cure, right? What can I do in the moment to do this? So one thing that we've done, Dr. Bob, is we spend money with Google. We want to appear in the search rankings. So when people have these issues, we tie into those key terms and those key search terms and phrases that people are looking for so that when they're having issues, they can find Skylight. We know we can't boil the ocean, so we have to be very targeted in our approach. But that's one thing that we found that works quite well. Um, so I call our marketing approach, it's basically bifurcated into two separate areas. Number one is going directly after Gen Zennials who need this service, right? Who are dealing with those mental health maladies that I've discussed before. So Google, social media is a place to find them as well. They're often scrolling and looking for things, and to plant the seed in their mind that we exist, that we can help, I think is important. And then at that moment of need, hopefully we're front of mind. They, from a social media perspective or finding us on Google, they can easily find us. They can go to skylight.org and do some of those exercises, those practices that will help alleviate their situation. The second way, though, in addition to going straight after the population or the target audience that we want to hit, is to influence the influencers, I call this. So, individuals who are concerned with this Gen Zennial population, if they know that we exist, just like I'm here doing today with you, Dr. Bob, if you didn't know about Skylight before and now you do, if you encounter somebody that's young or old, whoever, that needs help with this, you have a free service now, skylight.org. And so we have created what we call a playbook that we present to individuals of different faith traditions, but also universities, colleges, anyone that is concerned with this rising generation, this population of individuals that are coming up and they see these issues that they're dealing with, right? That they can utilize help with. We want them to be aware of us and share with those youth populations. So think of pastors, preachers, uh, imams, bishops, but also university student service individuals, the staff there, university presidents, anyone who could utilize us. Number one, we're free of charge, but if they're aware, then they can share with this population.
So this free of charge means that somebody's footing the bill for all this. Uh, where are you getting the money to not only develop it, but then to get it out there and to promote it?
Yes, great question. So we have some very kind donors who do donate. Some of these are institutional, and many of these are individual as well. From an institutional perspective, we get some of our funding from Deseret Management Corporation, which is located in Salt Lake City, Utah. They own the local NBC affiliate, and they also own one of the largest radio stations and print facilities. And they are tied and associated with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter day Saints. But also, we have many individuals who believe in this cause and are local here to Utah, but also spread across the nation that have donated money. And they say, we believe in this. This is a cause that we truly believe in, and we feel like this is making a difference in the lives of youth. I should mention, too, Dr. Bob, last year we had a chance to influence 4 million lives. And we plan to do double that, and we're on track to do double that in 2024, the year that I'm recording this with you. Same budget, but doubling our impact. And we're doing that in many ways, but one of the biggest ways is we're moving into Spanish in addition to English. And we're hoping to really serve the Latino market in a way that's unprecedented.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're pleased with the results at this point. Yeah, always a chance to do more though, and that's our goal.
Yeah. Um, this Mormon moment that you talk about happening back in 2012. Have you felt that that is still the defining moment, or has something happened since 2012 that has also given a boost to the movement?
That's a very good question. I would say domestically and even internationally, that was probably, if not the pinnacle moment, for sure one of the tentpole moments in awareness of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter Day Saints. Just again, rarely do you have two, efforts, one in entertainment with the Book of Mormon musical, the other politically, right, in the cultural zeitgeist and the awareness, not only of people in the United States, but also across the world. Um, we will see other things that really matriculate up as well, that cause us to be in the cultural consciousness. Rarely, though, is it more than a day or two. And I will say this, Dr. Bob, and this I think speaks a little bit to the way journalism is working today, and entertainment for that matter. Regardless of faith tradition, because of shrinking newsrooms, and also um, I would say the the impetus and the desire of newsrooms to really churn out a lot of content, clickbait content or other content, we often hear about all the negative that's happening, right? Regardless of faith tradition, the Catholic priests that are, having indiscretions. Uh, Again, the less than 1% that cause the black eye on all of the population, right? We see this with the Church of Scientology. We see this with those that believe in the Jewish faith and Muslim and Hindu, and we're not unscathed by that either, right? There will be certain things that pop up that create awareness, and it's traditionally not good awareness, right?
Yeah.
This is a scandal or something that purportedly happened, or that's released sometimes without having the full story told. One person's uh, one person's viewpoint is shared, and rarely is that the full truth for everyone. And so I would say this. I would say, yeah, there are the Mormon moment. I think is one time when we were in the full cultural consciousness. We've also had other things come up that are very good, and also some things that are not so good toward the faith. And so, as I think through those tentpole moments, I would say 2012, when that first Mormon moment hit, was probably the pinnacle. I would say that from my perspective.
Okay. So there are many uh, positive effects of social media and many negative effects of social media. And have any of your efforts tried to tackle those negative effects of social media? Since you are having an influence on those Gen Z and millennials, uh, have you been able to, say, tackle that issue of uh, what do you believe? How do you know what to believe based on everything coming at you? How do you verify what is true and what is false? And all of those kinds of things that I guess some organizations are trying to tackle to get people to say, if you see something and it seems to be unbelievable, it probably is, but here's
I
how you can verify whether or not what you're seeing is actually true. So I don't know, has that been part of your efforts?
Yeah, great question. I would say, number one, first of all, that is extremely important. I think you're exactly right. What we've seen with social media and the algorithms, right, creating a bit of an echo chamber, right? If you click like or view a lot of videos based on a certain topic, you'll continue to see that, and therefore it will re-entrench your view, whether that be a true view or potentially a false view, based on the information and assets you're being fed. So that is somewhat adjacent to our mission. We're a small group, and so we have to stay really targeted on our mission. I will say this, though, um, in relation to what you asked. We do realize social media. So many people spend a lot of time on social media, and with that, we know we have to be we just to be good marketers, if not good citizens. We have to be on those platforms to be able to share our message. And what we call it is kind of a break, a mental break. When they run into our content, we give them ideally 15, 20, 30 seconds of uh, hopefully becoming centered again, to be able to rethink what they're seeing and what's important in life. Because so much of what you see on social media, I don't want to call it shallow. Maybe that is the best word, but it is something that is transient. It changes over time. And again, it's very, um, here I am, here someone else is, and then that fear of missing out. And it's really to say, you know what? Having a relationship with a higher power, having a relationship with God is key to happiness. And what you're seeing on social media and on much of the internet is very fluffy. It's often flowery, and it's often transient to the point where it doesn't matter as much. It doesn't make you the type of person that you want to be often. And so find the time to do the things that improve you physically, that improve you mentally, spiritually, emotionally. Find the time to do that. And specifically, what we hope to do is share what we hope individuals will be doing as they're seeking for their faith journey, as they're moving on their faith journey. I liken Skylight to Grand Central Station. Rarely do people go to Grand Central Station as an end destination. It happens, but we want to shuttle people onto other destinations, wherever those faith journeys may take them. That people have different spiritual palettes, different faith traditions. So if we bring them in through a Christian-based prayer and they want to follow Christianity, the different a different sect of Christianity, we feel good about that. If we bring them in through a meditation that is inspired by um, uh, by Hindu beliefs, then go ahead and take that journey. See what that journey holds for you. We do believe that it makes people better, again, when they believe in a higher power. So, from a social media perspective, we know we have to be there. We hope that we can bring some sanity to the insanity sometimes that exists on social media.
Yeah. Now, I did go on your website, uh, skylight.org, just to get a sense of what you were offering. And I saw quite a smorgasbord of offerings there. Uh, and as someone who uh, if I was one of your target audience folks and I went to your website and I saw all this and I thought to myself, where do I start? What because maybe I don't have a specific issue that you're addressing, but I have a number of them. So I'm just thinking, okay, I'm stressed, I've got anxiety, you know, I I don't feel centered. I'm kind of lost. So do I don't know, do I start with morning exercises? What what do I do?
Yeah. So when you arrive at skylight.org, we have created multiple, I would call them sections. When you jump there, you will see playlists around the major areas that we deal with, for example, anxiety or stress or sleep issues. And so that is a great place to start. If, again, the majority of the people that do come to us are experiencing one of those things. So they will type in something about, I'm having sleep issues. And so they'll be led traditionally straight to something to help them with sleep. If somebody isn't having a particular issue, though, we've set it up, I think, in some major categories and playlists where they can start. Um, and we do have over 500 exercises or practices on skylight.org right now. So you're right, there is a lot to choose from. And our goal is this. Uh, we know that people, if they have an issue, rarely does it get resolved right away. Meaning, uh, hopefully we alleviate whatever that issue is that they're experiencing in the moment. But we also realize if you have sleep issues, after one session, rarely is that resolved. So we've created enough so that you can come back multiple times and hopefully create something, create a habit of being able to alleviate that issue. And we also realize professional help may be needed. We're not clinical, we're preclinical. We realize that we are not, we can't wave a magic wand and help everyone. Some people definitely need medical advice and or medication. And so we would strongly recommend people get that when needed. But this is for the individual who might have those bouts of sleeplessness or anxiety that we can help. And again, go through that because we do have some animated exercises. We have a lot with contributors, real people who walk you through things. We have different people of male, female, different cultural heritages, different ethnicities. So we really want to appeal to everyone because that is who Skylight is made for. Anyone that really wants to alleviate those issues that they're dealing with.
So if I decide I'm going to start with some exercises that might center me, does that mean I have to take yoga, or are there some other
Well,
options, or
yeah,
what do you
good
have for
question.
me?
Yeah, yeah, there is a lot of yoga on the app right now, but there's a lot of stretching and a lot of what we found though with yoga and with stretching. There's also Tai Chi that we're going to be adding soon and other types of things. But uh, for me personally, I run. I like to run. Um, a lot of people though that we see in this space that are really interested in connecting with their higher power, it's the slow and softer movements of a yoga or a stretching or other things that help them feel one with their body, that help center themselves, but also feel that vertical connectivity with the higher power.
Yeah.
It gives people a chance to ponder, to meditate, to really think about things. So we've really put a lot on the app in those areas just because we've heard from our constituents in our target market. This is the type of exercise we would like to see. And basically the numbers are showing us that is indeed the case, that
Yeah.
those are the things that they would like to do. As we have more resources, we'll add more though.
Yeah, that's why I like Qigong, because it's nice and slow in terms of movement, and yet it
Yeah,
does a lot for
uh,
your energy. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay, well, we are nearing our end time, and since you've watched a couple of these, you know that at this point, I ask the guests to leave our audience with a few words of wisdom. So this is your opportunity to be wise.
All right. Okay. Well, put me on the spot. I'll try to be wise. Yes, as we depart. The thing I would just mention to your audience again, people come, I'm sure, from all walks of life and all faith traditions and all spiritual palettes. I just want to reemphasize that life is better with God in it. And what I mean by that, I will use the term God, higher power, replace that with what you will, but life is better with God in it. I truly believe that. I have felt that personally. And I believe, like I said, that if we are able to turn to a higher power, to God, for hope, for um, happiness, for other things, it changes our perspective. It really does. When you think about all of the things that happen in this life, some of them are wonderful, and oftentimes many of them are extremely hard. Um, when you turn to God, both in your happiness and in your heartache, your life is better. I've found that to be true. I've seen it in the lives of others who have testified and documented that that is true. And I believe them. I believe them. So I would just suggest to people, wherever you find that happiness, wherever you find that hope, turn toward that power and realize that um, I believe this is a transitory state, right? There's more after this. So Many people will proverbial eat, drink, and be merry during this life and try to get the most that they can out of it. I truly believe there's something that comes after this life. And so as you look toward a higher power and have that eternal perspective of what not only your life on this earth looks like, but the future life, your life will be better because it puts it into perspective, gives you a chance to really put on the shelf of your belief all of those great things that happen and those things that aren't so great that happen to you sometimes. So again, believe in God, believe that He is, believe that He created all things and that He can influence your life for good and will do that because you are His child. He loves you and He wants you to feel comfortable, to feel hope, and to realize that this is a part of your journey, but it's not all of your journey.
Terrific. Thank you so much for that message. So, audience, as always, take what resonates with you and incorporate it into your daily life and leave the rest on the shelf until you're ready to bring it down and access it. Until next time, this has been your spiritual journey.